My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. This is the only channel dedicated to UFC fight picks and DraftKings lineups run by MMA insiders and professional fighters. Every week, I join Dan Kramer and Nick Newell, two longtime professional fighters that have fought at the highest levels on the planet, as well as Jacob Lyons, a skinny kid from Indiana. So join us every single week for our full fight card breakdowns, our individual fight card breakdowns, our betting guide, and our DraftKings lineups. Next up at UFC 263, we have Paul Craig versus Jamahal Hill. We have grappler versus striker. It's as cut and dry as that. Paul Craig is 3-1-1 in his last five, where Jamahal Hill is 4-1-1 in his last five. Lots of fighters with draws in their last couple of fights coming up on this card. With that being said, Paul Craig is absolutely a grappler. He's very dangerous on the ground, and he's incredibly tough. And you know how I know he's tough? He beat Ankalaev with 1 second left in the entire fight. He was losing that fight. There was 1 second left, and he pulled it off. And to me, that says everything. I love seeing that. I love seeing, and I know we broke down Chase Hooper earlier, and I was not so favorable with him, but I love seeing when guys can get beat up and then still win in the third round, still win late in the fight, because it tells me they don't quit. It tells me that they're never out of it and they're always there. And that is Paul Craig. Very dangerous grappler. If he gets hit or if he gets his hands on you at all, it is a problem because he will take you down from anywhere. He'll bully you. He'll make something happen. And Jamahal Hill, a very good boxer, and he's incredibly patient. He takes his time. He has nice kicks, but he likes to take his time and make things happen and set things up. So the way I see this is Jamahal needs to fight a perfect fight. He needs to fight a perfect fight. If he's going to win this fight, he needs to stay on the outside, take his time, and use his striking for 3 rounds with no mistakes. Because if he makes any mistake whatsoever, Paul Craig will take him down. And once they get down, I think that's a big-time problem. So I have Paul Craig winning this fight. I took him at was it plus 240? That seems high. Did I take him that high? I guess I took him that high.
I got it up.
Or sorry, low. I mean, I thought it was higher than that. So I took him at the plus 240. I have him winning this fight. And like I said, I think Jamahal Hill, while is a very good striker, I think he just needs to be perfect to win this fight. And at some point, he will make a mistake. He'll let Paul get too close, or Paul is just going to march forward, take whatever shots he has to take, and then get the takedown and win from there. So, Dan, I know you were also pretty high on Paul Craig, but do you see it going the same way?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's funny. My mindset changed on Paul Craig as I watched tape on him. So I started with the first Shogun fight, right? So you already covered the baseline. High-level jiu-jitsu player. I'm reading here, striking is okay. He's definitely not afraid to trade. But let's talk about the first Shogun fight, right? So that first round, he went out there. I don't even think he tried to shoot a takedown. And he stood toe-to-toe with Shogun with his chin straight up in the air. And he was winning the round, but it was like I was just waiting for Shogun to land a massive bomb and put him away. It didn't happen. He survived the round. But that alone, I was like, oh my God, that is the single worst game plan you could have against Shogun. Doesn't matter how old he is. Like, the power's the last thing to go. And he just did not care. He did not seem to mind that at all. So that concerns me a little bit. But what I did see is after that fight was a draw, right? You know, by the third round, let's talk about the second round of that fight. So second round of that fight, Craig ended up on his back. Again, I saw something I hate where he's just totally okay with playing guard. Unless you're Damian Maia or somebody who's going to like be able to sweep to your back. And I know he's very, very good at jiu-jitsu, but it is just tough to be a guard player these days unless you're like one of 3 or 4 people. But he was totally happy to do it against Shogun, and Shogun ground and pounded and won that second round. And then the third round, shot a terrible shot, pulled guard again, and got controlled again most of the third round. So I was like, geez, doesn't look good. His wrestling doesn't look great. His striking looks like very green. and he seems very willing to trade with someone who's a known striker. Probably not going to be good against a guy like Jamahal Hill. Then I watched their second fight, and I thought the second fight between Craig and Shogun, and I thought he improved significantly. His striking looked better. I mean, it's still not on the level of Jamal Hill, but his striking looked much better. He looked more confident. He looked more powerful. His wrestling looked better. He got a ton of takedowns. He had sweeps, sub attempts. Like he just looked like he started looking like a complete MMA fighter as opposed to just a jiu-jitsu guy. Um, so I think he's been working hard on improving where he needs to because he said early on in his career, he's like, oh, I was a jiu-jitsu guy and I kind of got into MMA as a mistake. Like all he did was jiu-jitsu. But you can see the evolution of his game, and I think he's becoming a more complete fighter. And he dominated that fight. Like ground and pound. Shogun tapped to strikes. I mean, he was. I mean, let's level set something too. This is Shogun as he's older,
At 40, yeah.
right? Gassed out, but still. I mean, just the what I saw on tape from Craig was significantly improved from their first fight. Then we talk about Jamal Hill, right? So very fast, athletic southpaw striker, good jab, straight shots. His defense is suspect, though. He keeps his chin up in the air. He relies on his athleticism to kind of evade shots as to having instead of having kind of sound traditional defense. And his last two wins are against OSP, which is a legit win. I think I
Yeah,
lost
that
money
is a
on that
good
one.
win.
I thought OSP was going to. Well, first of all, I think OSP had the worst game plan ever there. It was working in the first round, second round, not so much. And then he also beat Darko Stosic. So the OSP fight was all striking. OSP was tearing him up with leg kicks that first round. The second round, though, Hill started catching him with combos. The speed started being a factor. And OSP, for some reason, like I feel like he forgot that wrestling existed, and he was more than happy to just stand against the cage and take shots instead of even try for a takedown. So I just thought it was a bad game plan from OSP. So he lost that fight, but good win for Hill. Two fights ago is where I see the biggest takeaways on Jamal Hill. So he fought Darko Stosic. Stosic got a takedown on him in the first round. Couldn't keep him down. Got a couple good shots. Got like in on shots pretty easily, but didn't really have the wrestling skills to kind of finish them. But the shots were there. If he had more footwork and traditional run through wrestling footwork, he would have gotten even more shots than he did. But it always ended up back in the feet where Hill pieced him up. Third round though, you have a really tired Stochik, and he got another takedown, landed ground and pound, and anytime he took a shot, he got it easily. I think he got 5 takedowns in that fight, and I don't think any of them were even close to being defended. So if that hasn't improved, I think this fight is going to be a big problem for him. I think Craig's wrestling improvement and Hill's lack of takedown defense. I think Craig is very very live to win this fight. I've got some bets on him at the money line. I've got some prop bets on him by sub TKO. I think there's value on him in DraftKings, but um, you know he could get again. Let's rewind to that first Shogun fight. He was more than happy to go out there and trade with Shogun in the first round. So if he does that in this fight, he could get put away. But if he fights smart and just grinds out, wrestle, it might end up looking like a lopsided win for him. So I think there's value on Craig. I like him in this spot, especially at these values. And then total strikes.
It's a
I'm
hard
going to
line.
go. Yeah. The only reason I think it's hard is because I think Craig is going to get takedowns very easily.
Yeah, I think Craig's a more for sure.
Yeah,
Jamal Hill's
more,
a hard.
more.
Jamal Hill's hard at 63.
Right. Like he might get
Jamahal.
taken down and not, I don't know. It could be like a Kevin Holland type thing where like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
guy, the guy just doesn't care and will spend the whole fight on his back. So I don't know. I'm going to go more, just on the,
Probably the safer play.
I'm going to, I don't know, more or more or less. That's definitely the more on Craig. I think it's up to you to what your opinion of how this fight's going to go um, I'm
Yeah.
going to go more or less because I think that leaves the upside for a potential Hill knockout as well, right? So let's say Craig wins the first wrestling, Hill gets a knockout early in the second. You're probably going to cover that more or less. So
Yeah, and that could definitely be the case. And the last thing I'll add here is I like Paul Craig at $6,800 in DraftKings. Takedowns score 5 points. A couple of takedowns, that's a ton of points. You get riding time now. And DraftKings definitely favors grapplers as far as the scoring is concerned. So, I think this is a good.
DraftKings actually.
What'd you say?
I said I think maybe actually I do have him in DraftKings.
After you said no, wow. So there goes your credibility. Great. And I thought Jacob wasn't here today. So anyway, I think Paul Craig is the play in DraftKings. I think he's the bet. If you want to place a bet, go to wewantpicks.com/bets. We have links for you to give you free money so that you can place this bet with Bet Online. They by far have the best props and the best lines, and they have them earlier than anybody else. And if you want to hit the more less, and Monkey Knife Fights, go to playmkf.com/wewantpicks and use promo code WWP, and they will instantly match your deposit.